So we will get kick-started. So welcome to our 2021 Autumn Roadshow. It's great to see everyone joining us today, so thank you for taking the time out. Before we get stuck into the content today, I just want to take you through a few things. So just to let you know that the Q&A session, we'll have a live Q&A session, at the end of the roadshow today. So please submit your questions in the Q&A box at the bottom of your Zoom screen. And our panelists will come together to answer your questions. So please submit them as we continue through. If there isn't enough time to answer your questions at the end, one of the team will get back to you at the end of the roadshow. And we're also recording the webinar today, so if you need to jump out or if your colleagues couldn't make it, everyone who registered will receive a link at the end of the event so you can watch it on demand. So what can you expect from the roadshow today? So the theme of our Autumn Roadshow continues with looking at how to optimise for success, but this time with a key focus on implementing a digital strategy to future-proof your firm. We have a packed agenda of speakers that will help you get the most out of Osprey Approach. So our CEO, Craig, will open the roadshow today before handing over to Dave, who will take you through the latest updates in Osprey. Then you'll hear from Ben on how to reduce the cost of staying compliant using the features available to you in Osprey. Then we'll welcome our guest speaker, Lawrence Sutton, who is a leadership coach and member of the team at Brevett Solicitors, who use Osprey Approach in the daily running of their firm. He'll discuss how to maximise tech utilisation throughout your firm and touch on his own experience, so some great tips to come from there. And finally, before our live Q&A, we'll hear from Alex, who will discuss the importance of staff training to the long-term success of your firm. So without any further delay, I'll hand over to Craig to open the roadshow.
Very good morning to everyone, and thank you very much, Amy. Great to have you all with us today for our Autumn Roadshow. I'm Craig Matthews, the CEO of Osprey Approach, and as things are gradually returning to normal, whether you're joining me from home or a partially full office, or dare I say it's even a full office, we're very pleased to have you with us. And I suppose the flexibility of where you're joining us from sets me up rather nicely to discuss what I believe should be everyone's IT strategy for 2020 and beyond. A potentially new concept to some of you, Anywhere Operations. Anywhere Operations is a new way of looking at your business and working practices. A quick Google will tell you Anywhere Operations is an IT-based organizational model that supports customer service, worker motivation, and deployment of products and services from anywhere, regardless of physical location. Some of your business will already be anywhere operational, like your mobile phones and laptops. The very nature of these devices allow them to be operated from anywhere, but that alone doesn't make it an anywhere operation. Anywhere operations goes beyond the physical devices we use and how we use them, and looks collectively at how the business, its customers, its staff, and how it operates. Well, slightly off topic, I was thinking about anywhere operations and autonomy, like you do, whilst I was picking up a few items from my local supermarket. The truth is, this process could have been completed entirely online. However, I chose to pop to the supermarket on my way home. And this is where my mind started to wander. Is a supermarket anywhere operational? Step one, I went to the supermarket, but yes, I could have placed the same order online. Just because you can work from home or on a train doesn't mean you have to. Anywhere Operations is not having to operate remotely, but rather using the same products and services in the same way, whether you're at the office, at home, or on your commute. I could achieve the same online as I could in the supermarket. So far, so good for the supermarket. My next was a choice of options. Scan as I go, or just grab a couple of items and put them in my basket and go to the checkout. Again, Anywhere Operations could give you choice, but ultimately must achieve the same end results. On to product choice. Just as a website must be well laid out, allowing a transaction to be completed as quickly as possible with as little fuss as possible, the supermarket chains plough millions of pounds into understanding customer footfall and laying out their aisles in a very particular way. I can navigate the store as easily as I can navigate a website. Again, so far, so good. It was when I came to the checkout, however, that my Anywhere Operations ticks turned to a cross. I opted for self-service, which I know is brave. And as I only had the essentials plus a big bar of chocolate I just couldn't leave on the shelf, I thought I'd be okay. The bagging process went well for a change, and the contactless payment also presented no problem. Again, I had choice and all was great. It was the receipt stage that let me down. The till roll had run out, so my receipt couldn't be provided. Now, what had until this stage been a very easy process with lots of accessible options, all getting me to the same end result, I am stood with my red light flashing, waiting for the assistant to change the till roll. An art performed brilliantly by some assistants, but not quite so well by others. So as I'm stood there thinking, I should have gone to an assistant over self-service, staring at the screen in front of me, I thought, email receipt. Why don't I have an option for an email receipt? This would have completed the process and something I would have very likely opted for. Not only email receipt, but this company operates a loyalty scheme, as I think everyone does now. So they have my email address already. They have it as part of this transaction as they've scanned my loyalty card during the checkout process, yet no option is being displayed. Why can't I see all of my receipts on their loyalty app? The whole world is all about going carbon neutral. So what on earth am I doing waiting for a printed receipt to tell me what I already know, that I brought cheese, bread, milk, and of course, that big bar of chocolate? A receipt that will go straight into recycling as A, I know what I purchased and what the items cost, and B, because I was planning to keep the big bar of chocolate to myself, and a printed receipt is evidence that anyone could see. And by anyone, of course, I mean my partner, who's more of a chocoholic than I am. Well, in the fullness of time, the till roll was replaced. The receipt printed, the process did continue and was successfully concluded. And yes, ultimately, that bar of chocolate was shared with my partner. But when we move to an anywhere operation mindset, we think about every process and every physical limitation, and we remove and replace all those that disrupt or prevent our processes from operating anywhere. Print itself is a great example. The old adage, I need to be in the office because I need to print, that's not true. A wireless or cloud computing system can allow you to print from any location to a printer on your network, regardless of where you are. So even the traditional physical can become virtual in an anywhere operation. An anywhere operation isn't even about being paperless or even paper-like necessarily, though there are good reasons for doing so. It's ensuring that if you are printing, you are not hampered by printing by the location. You are an anywhere operation. The great news for you, of course, is that Osprey Approach provides a great foundation for a fully fledged anywhere operation. Coupled with Office 365, you're more than halfway there. No doubt many of you will have been the whole way there when you were forced to work remotely for so much of 2020 and parts of 2021. Now it's time to take the next step. And whilst you're back in the office enjoying your colleagues' company, don't stop thinking anywhere operations. A new process you implement, you must ask yourself, does this allow me to be an anywhere operation? When reviewing existing processes, again, does this allow me to be an anywhere operation? With your new mindset and a plethora of wonderful technology, so much developed in light of the COVID restrictions, you'll be well on your way to becoming a truly anywhere operation. And perhaps next time you're in the supermarket and you do see there being an option for email me my receipt, you can thank me, as I'm sure to be on to Morrison's, Sainsbury's and Tesco's following this meeting to suggest they add it to their to-do list. Thank you for listening to me. This year's Autumn Roadshow continues with the theme of operating anywhere and optimizing for success, with a focus on utilizing technology to enable a seamless anywhere operations. Next, you'll hear from Dave, who will take you through the latest updates in Osprey as we continue to improve and enhance our product. Plus, we touch on how tech helps with compliance and the importance your team plays in successfully adopting technology. Jam-packed morning, which I hope you'll take a great deal away from. Again, my sincere thanks for joining us today. Without further ado, I shall pass over to my colleague, Dave Dingle.
Good morning. My name's Dave Dingle. I'm a product specialist here at Osprey, and I'm going to be taking you through some of the updates that we've been working on since the last roadshow. So first of all, I appreciate that we did a webinar on this recently, but for those that perhaps didn't see it, our first topic is actually the client portal. For those that are not familiar with it, the client portal can be integrated with your existing website. In the example you're seeing on the screen, we have a link to the client portal, and this allows us to share and collaborate on information with our clients. Selecting the client portal allows them to log in and to view their case information. Now, in this example, we have the questionnaire functionality that allows them to complete online questionnaires and for that information to be submitted directly into the case management platform. They can also view all of their cases, all of the documentation and updates about that specific matter. Now, one of the key elements of the new client portal is that this has actually now become mobile responsive. So in addition to it getting a refresh, you can now use it across mobile and tablet devices seamlessly. Just some quick examples of what functionality is available within the client portal. As you can see here, they've got access to their case information, the status. So we've got a new graphical representation of where you are within a specific process and hopefully negating the need for your clients to constantly phone up and ask where you are within the process. You've got your document sharing capabilities that allow them to communicate with you directly on specific documents and information, as well as the ability for them to view and download that information. We also have our integration with Docusign that provides cost savings and convenience for both you as a practice, but also for your clients. For any letters of engagement or documents and contracts that require signatures, they can simply log into the portal, review those documents for signature, and then once they're happy, insert their signature within that document, and then that gets seamlessly integrated within the case management system. And as a fee earner, you'll be alerted that a new signature has come back so that you can review it. In addition to that, you've also got the deal room, which allows your clients to upload documents and supporting evidence against their case. And once again, as a fee earner, you'll be notified when a new document has been added against a matter so that you can review it. It's also an area that you can use for collaboration. So for example, if you're working on a contract with a third-party solicitor, then you can share that individual document, allow them to download it, perhaps make changes, they can re-upload it, and then Osprey will retain a full revision history of that document for you. So that's just a little bit on the new look and feel of the client portal. We're next going to jump into something we added a few months ago, but something that we still get questions on. And that's regarding a new menu option at the top of the browser. And we call it the Focus On menu. And this is designed for those of you that actually operate across both the browser, but also use the Windows desktop apps. And it's really there to allow you to switch between those as and when required. So in order to get the menu up, you can simply click on the eye icon. You have the ability to install the apps. And then when you wish to navigate between them, you can simply click on the applicable desktop app. So for example, I've got the conveyancing app open here. If I just close that down, I'll now demonstrate how this actually works. I can click on the conveyancing app. It will open up the app and it will seamlessly log me into it using single sign-on. Again, if I close it down, click back on it, it will log me in and take me back into the client and matter that I was working on. So just a simple mechanism to navigate between the browser and the desktop app interfaces. We're now going to jump into some matter history changes that have been made. And the first one that we know that was causing our clients frustrations was the ability to reorder the matter history columns. Now, previously, what would happen is that when you reordered these, when you moved away from that particular matter and into another one, these weren't persistent. Just to confirm, we've now resolved that, so you can tailor these column ordering to however you'd like them to be processed. Also, something else that we get asked is, what is the difference between the created date and the process date? The created date is the date that a piece of communication is actually added into the matter history. Now, the process date in these examples is exactly the same. So, what is the difference? Well, the difference is that the process date is something that is user definable. So you have the ability, using the edit button, to go in and amend the order of your file using the process date at the bottom. Now, where this comes into play is particularly related to email communications. So as you can see in this example, all of my correspondence is on the 14th of the 10th. If I jump into Outlook and then I go into my email, imagine that I've got an email communication that has come in that I want to export into Osprey. Now, if you note, the date of this is the 19th of May 2020. So let's export this against our client and matter. I'm searching for the client and matter, and there it is, Rachel Jackson, entering in some detail, and then I can export that. Now, if I jump back into Osprey and our matter history, I'll just click on refresh. You'll notice that it's put that email communication at the top of the screen. The created date is today, which is what we would expect, but you'll note that the process date is actually the date that we received that email. Having the process date here means that we can actually click on the process date column, and what it will now do is reorder our file in full chronological order, meaning that we can actually see when that email came in within the correct chronological order. So that's just something that we get asked by our clients. Also, just to note on the created date that those of you that are using our InfoTrack integration, previously when search results were coming back into the matter history, the created date would actually be the date that you ordered the searches as opposed to the dates when they came back. That's now been rectified, again, meaning that you've got all of your communications in full chronological order. We're now going to jump into an area where we've made some significant upgrades, and that is actually our case bundle functionality. The case bundles allows you to amalgamate single or multiple communications into a core bundle. And what we've done is added some additional support so that we fully comply with the core requirements. In this example, you can see that we've got some information about our particular core bundle. Previously, you couldn't edit this, but now you can. You can see we've got the bundle name, our hearing date, the court details, the case number, and now we've given you the flexibility to add in additional applicants and respondents. Now, where this differs from previous functionality is that we're actually going to use all of this content that we've just entered in order to build our court cover page. That was previously a manual, required manual intervention. Once I've entered that information, I can select my court bundle, and down the left-hand side, we're able to add folder structures as we were previously. The difference now is that you can also enter your own user-definable section lettering. So, for example, I could add section D, and I could call this Appendix A. Osprey creates the folder. I can drag it to where I want that to be within my court bundle, select it, And now I'm able to add content to that particular folder. We've also added the ability to search through all of your matter history. We appreciate they can become lengthy and complex. And now you can simply go in and search for documents and communications. I've entered the word statement in there, and not only has it searched the details that you can see on screen, but it's also gone through the documents themselves to look through all of the content. So that's an improvement there to help you locate documents and communications more quickly. We've also added the support for emails and text messages. So let's grab an email from the Law Society Gazette. We could also add in a document. So we'll highlight those two options, and then we'll add those into that section. Additional functionality we've added here after listening to our clients is the ability to change the order. So you now have these up and down arrows allowing you to manipulate your data into the order that you want it to be. So now that we've got our bundle prepared, we can simply click on the download bundle. It will now consolidate all of that information into that single indexed and paginated PDF. And that's actually where we've also included some further changes. Just take a moment whilst that opens up in Adobe. There it is. So the first notable change is that the entire top of the half page here has been automatically generated by Osprey. This is what I mentioned previously that you had to create yourself. Scrolling down, we've got our fully created and automated index. You can see there at the bottom that we've got our new Appendix A that's been added. And then if I scroll down, I've got access to all of my content. We've adjusted the page numbering so that it complies with the court requirements. In addition to that, we've also made some extensions to the bookmarks. Previously, we would only create the top level as seen here. The court requirements actually require that you create bookmarks for all of the content. So you can see now that we've got the full list of all content and hyperlinks directly to those. I can now, for example, click on my email, and you can see there's our email from the Law Society Gazette. So that's the update on the court bundles, and we hope you'll find them far more convenient in terms of creating your court bundles and reducing the administration associated with those. The next topic is just very brief in respect of a quick update on what we've been doing with workflows. So for those of you aware, we provide in the region of 50 different workflow templates that our clients can choose from, and then they obviously have the flexibility to amend and tailor those workflows to meet with their practices requirements. To add to that library, we've created a number particularly related to Sra Compliance. So I'm just bringing up a list there of the Sra workflows. So things such as risk management, complaint handling, files review, and undertakings are all now available. You can see here an example for complaint handling. So we've created all the questionnaires, the letters, the documents, and these workflows can be created as a separate matter, or where applicable, they can be added on to an existing matter. So those are now available for you. And then just really finally, we just want to speak a little bit about reporting and analytics. We understand the importance of that for a practice, and that the decisions based upon the reporting that is provided to the management teams. Now, as you may be aware, we already provide 2 avenues for a practice to report through. We've got a core suite of reports, but we also give you the flexibility of the report writer that allows you to create your own ad hoc reports based upon your own criteria and result fields, and then upload those back into the Osprey platform. To extend that, we now have an integration with a service called the Microsoft Power BI, which stands for Business Intelligence. And we've actually got a number of clients already utilising that facility. What the Microsoft Power BI service allows you to do is create complete reporting and analytical dashboards that cover across the entirety of your practice. You can add this onto your existing Office 365 subscription, so you just sign up to the service, and then what we're able to do is link that in with your Osprey database so that you can gain information and insights. As an example, you're seeing on screen, we can see metrics such as how much we've invoiced this month, this year, as well as revenue, whether that be cumulative or revenue versus targets. Now, one of the beauties of Power BI is not only can it take in information from Osprey, but it can also accept information from other data sources. So in the example we have on the left-hand side, where we've got our cumulative target, that target information is actually coming from an Excel spreadsheet. You can see we're slicing and dicing our information on revenue, be that by day, by target. And we can also incorporate metrics by individual branches and departments. So for example, over on the right-hand side, you can see we've got different filters. One of the beauty of the Power BI service is that it also allows you to interact with your data to get more meaningful information and metrics. So in this example, where I'm looking at a fee earner, Dave Dingle, if I click on that, you'll note that other metrics on the page can actually change just so that my data is exposed. Now, the Power BI is also designed for all of the different departments across your practice. So whether that be the management teams for KPI information, it could be the practice managers that wish to see compliance information, but it also is a great tool for accounts and also for marketing. So for example, on the marketing side of things, we're able to capture all of your revenue and your matters from Osprey and present those in these highly visible maps of the UK. So for example, these heat maps are showing me where my revenue comes to, where my revenue is coming from in respect of a county basis. So you can see here as I hover over them, revenue and the matter count figures. So that's just a little bit on the Power BI, and this service is available now to clients that wish to extend their reporting and analytical services. We're able to provide a template, but also you should imagine this as a blank page in respect that you can create your very own reports that are tailored to meet with your objectives. We can provide you with these, and also we're working on a continual basis with our clients to actually extend these and make them more productive. So if you're interested in any of these services, then please do not hesitate to get in touch with us. Just finally, a couple of very brief updates on things that we were looking to show you today, but unfortunately they've just got pushed back a little, but we know that you've got an interest in them. First of all is the Supervisor App that will negate the need for you to create and manage your documents within the browser. That will reduce or eliminate our reliance on Silverlight. And that is now due the beginning of November. So 9 or 10 days away, we're hoping to have that out to you. And then secondly, we will be continuing our work on the personal injury portal as well. That was temporarily on hold while we had to complete the Supervisor App. But that is still underway, and we're hoping to have some updates on that. So there's a few updates on some of the functionality that we've incorporated, some of the fixes, and a couple of things that we're working on. Back to you, Amy.
Thanks, Dave. Great overview. There's a lot of features and things in there to get your teeth into. So if you'd like any further information on the features, the integrations, the updates mentioned, then please reach out to our support team and we'll be able to book in-depth demos, trainings, or provide more information. So now I'll hand over to Ben, our case management developer, to discuss all things compliance.
Good morning, everyone. Let me just get my slides up. So my name is Ben and I'm a case management developer here at Osprey. I'm going to be talking to you today about how you can reduce the cost of staying compliant. Before I continue, I'll give you a little background about me. Having worked as both an IT manager and a practice manager of high street firms over the last 15 years, I joined Osprey in March of this year. Throughout my career, I've been involved in various aspects of compliance, including acting as the compliance officer for finance administration, as well as dealing with various accreditations and legislative changes. And my wealth of hands-on experience in firms has helped me be in a perfect position to tell you about how Osprey can help reduce your firm's costs of staying compliant. Let me just, sorry, I think I'm not sharing the right screen. There we go. So, what do I mean when I say compliance? Well, I mean any of these items you see on the screen now: SRA regulations and accounts rules, legislation such as GDPR and the money laundering regulations, and accreditation such as Lexcel, CQS, WIQS, and the LLA Specialist Quality Mark. So compliance in your practice is unfortunately a necessary evil that cannot be ignored, which affects every part of your firm's operation. If not managed correctly, the cost of managing compliance can be high, not just financially, but also in time and energy. But with the correct digital tools at your disposal, your firm can not only ensure they are compliant, but you will also reduce the costs associated with remaining so. Plus, with the right digital tools in place, you can lean on technology to help evidence the proactive steps your firm is taking to mitigate risks and implement quality controls, so the proposal processes for your professional indemnity insurance take less resource. A more informed and detailed proposal will also affect the premiums you pay. So over the last few months, we've worked hard to develop Osprey's compliance features and workflows to ensure our software can support law firms in reducing the cost of staying compliant. The functionality and automated workflows in Osprey enable firms to incorporate compliance tasks into their day-to-day activities. When the right tools and procedures are in place to standardize processes, then following best practices and meeting requirements becomes the norm. Integrating your compliance activities into your case management processes, automating actions, removing disparate systems, and centralizing your compliance data means you can disperse the associated costs and enable an efficient and effective operation. By reducing data duplication and streamlining required compliance activities, your firm can save time and improve profitability. In this session, I'll cover the top 6 ways Osprey can reduce the cost of staying compliant. Concentrating on utilizing digital tools, I'll discuss workflows, our client portal, some of our relevant integrations, our accounts functionality, our comprehensive reporting suite, And finally, how using all of these features can help achieve lower professional indemnity insurance premiums. So as I've just mentioned, one way you can achieve cost reductions is by utilising Osprey's workflows and making compliance as easy as possible for your firm. By integrating compliance into the day-to-day processes, your employees will be able to spend more time concentrating on the work that earns your firm fees and remove any associated time-consuming admin tasks. But what is a workflow? So a workflow is a set of predefined tasks and actions that can be run within Osprey to automate tasks. They help improve accuracy and consistency across your firm. This can include capturing client, third-party and matter-specific details via questionnaires, sending auto-populated letters, documents or emails with details collected in those questionnaires, or recording key dates such as deadlines or limitation dates. It can also automatically post items or request information via our convenient and secure client portal, which I will discuss in more detail in a moment. Making use of all of this functionality will boost efficiency, increase profitability, and will make staying compliant easier by integrating best practice and compliance tasks into your team's daily workload. Allow Osprey to do the hard work by implementing workflows that ensure nothing is missed. Workflows, including digital risk assessments, GDPR, due diligence, and conflict of interest searches, help to ensure you're meeting all of your compliant requirements. Here at Osprey, we've done the hard work for you and created a suite of compliance-focused workflows your firm can use to meet its compliance obligations quickly and easily, giving the COFA, COLP, money laundering officer, and other business stakeholders the peace of mind that your firm is meeting all of its requirements. So Dave touched on those earlier, but further information can be found on our dedicated on-demand webinar, which discusses our compliance workflows and functionality in more detail. A link to this webinar should be available in the chat area of this session now, but we'll also send it separately in an email after this event. But also our support team are on hand to give you a demo of any of our workflows, which can then easily be imported into your system for immediate use once done. So I've touched on workflows being able to publish to and request information via our client portal, which Dave showed you earlier. But what is the client portal and exactly how can it save you costs when it comes to compliance? Well, with the client portal, your clients can securely view matter updates, upload and collaborate on documents, and provide requested information to you. But rest assured, you have full control of the portal and controlling what your clients see and when. By providing your clients access, you can simplify your client onboarding processes and ensure fast and accurate client due diligence information is collected from your clients and stored directly into your matter without having to key information from paper forms. You can review all the information and amend any responses before the data is saved back into your Osprey database, ensuring that any issues can be addressed. Utilising the portal in this way will therefore reduce the time it takes you to undertake your client due diligence formalities and free up more time for fee earning activities. In addition to this, your clients can upload documents such as signed terms of engagement or ID documents, streamlining the whole process of due diligence. As well as streamlining your compliance tasks, it also enables you to provide a frictionless and convenient service for your clients that allows them to connect and collaborate with you digitally. Again, to find out more information, we do have a dedicated webinar, which Dave mentioned, on our client portal and how it can enhance your client service. It also covers the launch of the new portal and the improvements which Dave went through today. And again, the link should be in the chat area, but we'll also send that out in the email after this event. So you can further streamline your onboarding process with our Docusign and InfoTrack integrations. Request digital signatures from your client on terms of engagement, client care letters, and other documents via the client portal using the Docusign integration. Docusign is the world's #1 way to sign electronically and is trusted by over 1 million users to help them to do business more efficiently. Not only will implementing electronic signatures reduce printing and postage costs, but speed up the whole process, ensuring the entire client onboarding and client due diligence experience is as efficient as it can be for both you and the client. Our integration with InfoTrack facilitates the verification of identity and the verification of funds without having to rekey important client details. InfoTrack offers an award-winning suite of digital client onboarding and verification checks, so you can streamline your operations. When integrated with Osprey, you minimize manual admin to reduce errors and centralize your processes. By utilizing the digital tools at your disposal, you're able to quickly and efficiently complete these compliance tasks. So up next is legal accounts. Your firm must be able to easily comply with the solicitor's accounts rules. Having an easy-to-use, compliant legal accounting system built right into Osprey, it eliminates the need for separate financial software and allows your fee earners, support, and legal accounting staff to quickly and easily manage the finances of their matters and your firm. With your firm's accounts integrated with your case management, your time recording is also fully connected, meaning that all billable time is captured during your fee earner's day-to-day work and reduces time and improves accuracy when it comes to billing. By ensuring that fee earners spend less time undertaking financial admin by providing easy-to-use legal accounting tools, you can ensure that they are concentrating on the tasks that will earn you fees. Without time-consuming admin tasks, you can speed up month-end processes and run a streamlined accounts department with ease. With our legal billing functions, your firm is able to produce compliant and accurate bills, reducing errors and improving productivity. By also ensuring that your accounts are compliant, you'll remove any costs associated with rules breaches and compliance failures that could result in investigations, claims, or complaints. Now, I've covered how Osprey can help reduce the cost of compliance by streamlining your fee earners' day-to-day compliance responsibilities, but how can it help your COFA, CULP, money laundering officers with their monitoring obligations? With Osprey's centralized database of documents, files, and data from clients, cases and financials, you can accurately report and gain insight for clear firm-wide visibility. When your data is collected and easily accessible, compliance officers can keep an overview of compliance and proactively monitor and resolve potential breaches and non-compliance. Resolving potential breaches and non-compliance before it becomes an issue will subsequently stop any possible investigations, complaints, or claims and remove any costs to your firm associated with these. Furthermore, with your matter, financial, and compliance data at your fingertips centrally within Osprey, applications for accreditation such as CQS, WIQS, and Lexel are a breeze. Evidence and figures can more easily be produced, reducing the time it takes you to fill out those lengthy application forms. By reducing preparation times, you free up your firm's management from time-consuming manual admin, allowing them to concentrate on more important matters. And finally, your professional indemnity insurance is likely to be the single largest business overhead each year. And so by implementing automations, high-level reports, and standardized best practices, you'll be able to easily demonstrate the measures and the quality control you're putting in place to manage and reduce risk. Lockton, the world's largest privately owned global insurance broker, reported in spring 2021 that the average increase for the primary layer of professional indemnity insurance cover was 27% compared to 17% the year before. Osprey includes features and functionality that makes implementing the required processes and procedures easier to manage and easier to demonstrate for your professional indemnity insurance proposal. By being able to demonstrate to the insurers that your firm takes compliance seriously, you can potentially benefit from lower PI premiums. By fully utilizing the digital tools you have available to you in Osprey, implement standard compliance processes using automated workflows, engaging with the client using the client portal, monitoring your firm's compliance effectively, and using your firm's data to ease your application processes for accreditations, you can prove to your insurer that your firm is taking proactive steps to mitigate risk, implement effective compliance, and reduce complaints and claims. So, in conclusion, there is no single way of reducing the financial cost of staying compliant, but making small improvements across your firm's operation will have big impacts on the overall cost of staying compliant. The key is to avoid treating compliance regulations as an additional disconnected procedure. By using the digital tools you have within Osprey, you can reduce the time and energy it takes to complete individual elements of your compliance process by streamlining and improving efficiency and therefore increasing profitability. It is in effect the old adage, time is money. So through these time saving and improvements in efficiency, you can improve profitability of your fee earners, allowing them to increase free income. And by monitoring your compliance and ensuring there are no breaches or grounds for complaints or claims, you can remove these associated unwanted costs also. And by demonstrating strong compliance practices and procedures, the biggest potential cost saving of them all is your professional indemnity insurance premiums. So as I've mentioned throughout, there were a number of webinars covering compliance and our client portal, as well as our Docusign and InfoTrack integrations mentioned in this session. There are links to the mentioned webinars in this chat, and they will also be emailed to you after the event. We do also have a catalogue of other on-demand webinars available on the Osprey Academy at support.practice.com/customer-webinar-series. So that's me done, and I'll hand back to Amy to introduce our next speaker.
Thank you so much, Ben. Some great tips of reducing cost of staying compliant, which I'm no doubt will inspire all firms watching today to help improve or implement the features into their daily workload. So now I'm very excited to welcome our guest speaker, Lawrence Sutton, who will discuss through his own experience and expertise how to maximise tech utilisation in your firm, a challenge we know a lot of firms can face. So over to you, Lawrence.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Just to introduce myself, I'm practice manager with Brevitt Solicitors, a small family-run firm started by my wife's father in the early 60s and now run by my wife Jane and our daughter Jessica, who's just recently qualified as a associate solicitor. I've been a partner with the firm for the last 10 years. It's an LLP. It's only in the last year or so that I've played a fully active part, having retired from a senior management position in the Crown Prosecution Service after 39 years, latterly as a regional business manager for the Midlands region, and also their online CPSD, which interestingly I used to as a case study. Sadly for me, in my late 50s, I decided to do a master's, and I did that master's in virtual team working, and as a result of my time at CPSD, introduced smarter working into the organisation, which left them in a very strong position, thankfully, not only just me, but many others, for when we went into the pandemic. I'm a fellow of the Institute of Legal Executives and a qualified executive and leadership coach, having coached senior leaders and the leadership teams across government departments, including the NHS. Excuse me. I also have a real keen interest in keeping up to date, and I'm an appointed member of by the Department of Education for the new T-levels, and I also write curriculum or help to write curriculum for SILEX. So I'd like to thank Craig for inviting me to speak today. He's not said, but I think it's because our journey at Brevitt's in introducing Osprey may be of some interest to you. When it was first introduced at Brevitt's, I don't think my wife will mind me saying, although she is working from her home office today, so I may be overheard, but it wasn't a great success initially. Expectation and enthusiasm was very high. Jane originally purchased Osprey, the Osprey Approach, because she needed to replace her accounting system, but did so in terms of the cost and also the potential that Osprey presented to a small practice. So it was very forward thinking about of her. So having said the enthusiasm was high, the implementation I understand was poor. When I thought I'd retired, I was presented with a list of tasks by my wife, as I think most men that don't take up golf are. Well, I think a task list, Jane called it. There were in fact a number of implementation projects and new policies and procedures that were required, of which Osprey was at the top of the list, followed by a dash saying, "Sort it," in capital letters. So today I'm going to talk you through how I approach the challenge of sorting it. I'll be talking from a non-technical perspective, but in terms of the leadership engagement and the commitments that I brought to the piece, to ensure that we could sort it. My wife, as I said, was very enthusiastic about automating case management for all the reasons that you probably looked into this. She believed in the product that was Osprey, and she wanted it sorted quickly. She saw it was going to be our future, and it was going to help small practices like ourselves survive amongst the challenges of recent times. I soon established that there was not a problem with Osprey, and as you might guess, it was a problem with the staff. But I approached this from the staff not being the problem, but the staff being the solution. The takeaway for today, I would hope, from my brief conversation with you, is getting clarity and understanding of what you want to achieve with Osprey, realizing that you will only get out of it what you put into it. The more you put into it, the more benefits you will realize. And that's been our experience in our 5-year journey. I didn't fully appreciate the destination. I knew it was an exploration and roughly the right direction in which we were traveling. I was not an end user, and I was very much dependent upon the staff to make this work. We took it steady. We took time initially, but then as a result of taking it steady in the early stages, things have escalated, and we've implemented things incrementally, which has been a key to our success, taking staff along with us. So getting them restarted really was the first and foremost issue. And if I say we're at this moment considering, well, we're just about to launch our website and the interactive portals, and to add on the workflows for compliance, which Jane is very much looking forward to, for the first time filling out our application for indemnity insurance next year, based on all of the measures that we hope to have available using the tools that have been previously explained. So getting them restarted, we needed to be planned and organised. They've been very reactive up until this point. We agreed that we were going to be proactive and intentional about what we wanted to achieve and to take forward. And I think Jane, above all, realised that this was going to cost in terms of staff time, resources, and their energy. And this in itself helped to change mindsets by the involvement that we went through. Time and resources were, as I say, identified to allow time and opportunities to tee up and realise the benefits of automation. I worked with the fee earners initially to determine what they wanted to achieve, and more importantly, where their starting point was. What they had achieved and where they had challenges. I used a great little simple inquiry model that I often use in my one-to-one coaching with executives. And whilst you might think it's simple and straightforward, it goes down very well with senior executives that I've worked with on a one-to-one, and senior management teams that I've worked with in groups. First stage of this very simple model, I got them to describe to me what their perfect 10 was, and what it looked like, what it felt like, what it would feel like to them. I wrote down what they wanted, and it was quite exciting what they wanted, but I thought I needed to introduce an element of realism. But they gave it to me, what they wanted in a perfect world. Just bullet points will do if you're undertaking this process with your staff over an implementation. They were pleased with themselves. I could tell they'd got it all off their chest and spelt out to me what it is that they wanted. And also they realised just how much they'd achieved and celebrated those achievements, albeit small. The next stage, using a scale of 1 to 10, I asked them to put a number against where they thought they were at now. They initially struggled with this, but it was important, so I persevered. They were very honest and gave it to me as a 5. I got them to say why they thought they were a 5, which again illuminated some of the challenges that they faced and some of the successes that they'd had. They were able to explain why they weren't a 4 and why they weren't yet a 6, which was really interesting for me because it enabled me to establish their position. This honesty and accuracy of the starting point proved to be vital because it enabled me to share their current position and understand their current position and share that with the Osprey approach and the team at Osprey. Next, what we did was when we got down to what we needed to get from their starting point to where they wanted to be, the jump from 5 to 10 was obviously too big. And we then determined that there were key essentials of what realistically would give us enough to get us to where we wanted to be. We settled for an initial 6 by the end of the first phase and 7 by the end of the next phase, with a steady action plan thereafter to get us to 8. And I'm very grateful to say that we are in the phases, in the throes of moving to 8, which I'm absolutely delighted about, and they are. And their sense of enthusiasm and energy has shifted completely during that transitional period. So once they determined the steps and actions needed, we were able to determine who and when, and we had a similar sessions with the staff to ensure we could secure their buy-in and take them with us. It was really interesting to have some conversations. We have a mix of young and more mature within the practice. Some of the practice paralegals have worked with the company since they left school, have left and come back having had children, and are now in their golden years. They are technically, in terms of the law, really proficient, but somewhat reluctant and resistant to change where IT is involved. Having said that, my wife has taken them through the initial confiscation of electric typewriters, not quite, manual typewriters, and then eventually binning those typewriters to ensure that they couldn't bring them out at the first sign of a word processor going wrong. So as I say, once we determined the steps and actions, we needed to work with the staff. We needed to ensure that buy-in from them. I won't say it was easy, but I believe it was well worth it. Engaging with the staff is the best way of getting them to secure what you need and making them feel it's what they need in terms of the savings and the benefits that can come from this approach. This got us an outline plan. And we were able to share what we wanted to achieve by then with the team, as I said, at practice, and they provided a great deal of, I'd have to say, patience, polite patience and support for and with us. A word to the wise, you might want to break the process down that I've just explained to you and to make the transition of that process from where you start to where you would like to be into manageable stages. Don't get overwhelmed at any time. Some of this can be quite complex to start with, and then very simple in terms of as you embed it. For the team or champion responsible for bringing in these implementations, I would say, first crucial step, engage with your managers, with your staff, explain the benefits to them and the practice. For us, these included automation, the links to compliance, saving time and energy, taking away repetitive nature of some of the work, speed, efficiency. The quality of their output was very much paramount. Selling the fact that they can change workflows and templates to meet their specific requirements, because only theirs is theirs is the only way, was really helpful to make sure they weren't going to lose some of those comfort blankets, and some of those comfort blankets could be incorporated into the basic product. They've seen some of these benefits, less paper, postages, fewer phone calls and visitors to the office. I have to say, one of the things that we went into the pandemic with our own risk assessment and risk approach of people working from home, and most of our people worked from home throughout the pandemic, was that this case management system was seen as our absolute saviour, and all of any reluctance or resilience to going with it was lost, and we have moved along so much more by the motivation of seeing some of these things because they had no alternative but to go with some of these rather than have them as options. So they've seen better interactions with clients, better case management progress, more compliments, and less complaints, particularly over a very difficult period. It was quite a novel thing for me, coming from the service that I did, introducing a compliments register, where we celebrate once a month with some of the things and the feedback that we get from our clients. But the important thing is about sharing with them where you think you would like to be against where you are now, and explaining some of your rationale and establishing from them their initial views. You know, do they recognise and agree where you're at now? Do they like the sound of where you want to be? And what are their concerns? What are their ideas? Do they have the same concerns as you? And do they have the same appetite for automation? Because there may well be some individual one-to-one work that you need to do there that sits behind the actual work, nurturing people to provide that understanding and that energy and awareness. Often I used in some of the one-to-ones that I had with some of the more mature was building relationships up with newer staff that they were seeking to mentor and develop in terms of the law, and having this technical exchange, or almost like a virtual help desk, to an exchange to help them with the technical issues. And so we got this sort of osmosis of technical IT skills moving over into the practice paralegals, and the practice paralegals becoming more IT savvy, and some of the IT savvy junior apprenticeship paralegal becoming more informed and knowledgeable about the legal content. So teasing out the appetite and the concerns for automation, what they see as the challenges, what their ideas and suggestions are for taking forward. There were some very helpful suggestions that came forward that I acted as the interface with the senior management team, i.e. the fee earners, in relation to some of those ideas. And even when we weren't quite certain about them, we adopted the approaches and developed the approaches so they could identify with things that where they had actually contributed to all of this. I also sort of engaged with them as to what part they would like to play in terms of the implementation. And we had one person that was very, very strong in terms of wanting to trial and pilot. And she soon became our champion and coordinator and lead on this in terms of the end user. And I'm sure her name is well known to the technical support that's provided by Osprey, but she proved invaluable. And that's been obviously recognised in terms of her ownership and sort of command of the overall approach within the practice. We did use her for proof of concept on one particular area of our work, and then started to get the benefits from that, whilst helping to roll out to others, ironing out points for one department and building practice-wise expertise internally. And that important collaboration of relationship with the key stakeholder that was Osprey, making the staff part of this from the start, seeing them as the solution and not really the problem, letting them see it's for them to do and not to have done to them, I think was a very honest and much appreciated approach with the staff from the feedback that I've received. Getting the staff on board and doing this is the biggest investment, and you will gain and see the best return on that investment. But it does have a price. Time does need to be allocated. You know, the what and the who and how long it takes is really imperative. Initially, some of the technical work that's involved with shaping this and making it your own, because you know, you're buying an environment in which you can make your own, is really important. But the benefits for them and others comes back, you know, I get feedback that I don't understand, like it's great working with the fields, putting it all in, being proactive at the start, getting out and pressing things and automating things quite quickly without having to retype is all great. Securing a real common purpose of what's in it for them as well as the practice. This isn't all about saving staff. There's always a bit of that in the firm. Can I say that we've saved staff? Well, probably no, we haven't. There's been a resource implication to upfront this, but I'm very confident that as staff leave and the new, more technical staff are let loose and are up to speed, we won't need to replace everybody that leaves in due course. So to understand what needs to be achieved and how to achieve it, I think was a practical practical lesson for me. They knew more than I did, and your people are going to know more than you did, and driving this change forward needs to come from the staff, from the centre, from the people, and that understanding of people and their awareness and building their awareness and nurturing their development, I think is important around what they know in terms of bringing about this operational change. Champions and implementation teams from the shop floor are going to make this happen, supported by experts and specialists of Osprey. I knew that from the automation and the digitalisation program that we had at CPS. It wasn't the managers that were keeping count and holding to account. It was the people that were actually doing it and being given the time to introduce the changes that are necessary. It was also important for us, albeit small, because people get so busy, to secure excellent internal communications, to create that external communication with Osprey, to get the fully benefits of that collaborative relationship. This change, this creates momentum and buy-in from everyone, and this is about self-management really, and becoming more aware. You need to plan the phases of your journey and the steps and the timeline that you take. Take your time to start with. Things will speed up as you go along. It gets quite exciting when they're waiting for the next thing to layer in and save time. It's not a race to the finishing line. It's a bit of a cliche, but it's a continuous development and improvement journey with great operational delivery benefits, in my view. You don't need Print 2 to have a project management approach. Just using the principles of delegating with confidence to people that are confident in what they need to know, holding them to account really, and celebrating their successes as you go through. Keeping track, encouraging pace, holds people to account in the right way, catching people in rather than out, and otherwise casework will just take a priority. So giving some quality time, not just one person responsible for it as all of their time, but a number of people that are responsible for it for part of their time, I think is the right sort of balance that's required here. So I wish you every success in your journey, whatever point you're at. Don't rely on just what you're buying. It's a brilliant platform, which in my experience will grow ahead of us. And I'm excited to hear the developments that have been this morning. And I hope there's someone from our practice listening to some of the ideas that have been shared. They're growing ahead of us and providing solutions to problems we don't even know at the moment that we've got, which I think is quite exciting and quite reassuring to have as a small practice. I will hang around at the end to try and answer any questions that you may have. But if anyone would like to contact me directly, I'm more than happy to have a conversation, come and see you, have a one-to-one, or even talk to your implementation team or management team about my experiences, and to share some perhaps handy hints and top tips that I found that have been really beneficial. So thanks again for listening, and thank you for the opportunity to be able to share our experience.
Thanks so much for joining us today, Lawrence, and sharing your great advice and journey with us. And yeah, we'll include your contact details in the further communications, so if people want to reach out, they can. And you are sticking around with us till the end, so if you do have any questions from that session, please pop it in the box and we'll put them over to Lawrence at the end. But before the Q&A, I'll hand over to Alex, who will continue on the theme of maximising tech adoption and discuss the importance of investing in training for long-term success for your firm. Over to you.
Brilliant, thank you, Amy. So yes, I am the case management developer here at Osprey. I'm here today to talk to you on the importance of staff training for your firm's successes. So probably cover some of what Lawrence has gone through as well today. In terms of my background, I've also come from practice, as has Ben. I worked as a solicitor throughout my training. I mainly worked in residential conveyancing and I qualified into family. So I've done bits of everything and ended up here at Osprey. So my main job is to help develop the workflows. So that's my role here. So let's get into the presentation. So our 2021 roadshows have focused on how you can utilise technology to optimise your firm for success. However, the technology and software solutions that you put in place can only be successfully utilised if the people using it are confident and trained. As Lawrence touched on in the previous presentation, it requires teamwork and collaboration to successfully utilise the tech you implement, and effective training is crucial in that process. Investing in training has many benefits. So employee satisfaction and staff retention. If employees are confident using the software, it enables them to take advantage of the technology to reduce the pressure of their workload, make their daily tasks easier to manage, and that leads to improved job satisfaction. This will ultimately help you to retain your top talent and a great reason for people to join your team. You'll also maximise your return on investment. So with confident users, you'll ensure you're fully utilising your software's capabilities, ensuring you maximise your return on investment. When used effectively, the software will return financial benefits that will help you to reach your goals, whether that's to grow, improve client service, or boost profitability. Reducing risk and staying compliant, a very big topic. Technology helps to standardise tasks and reduce risk. If your staff are trained and confident in using the system, they're more likely to follow processes correctly, helping you to keep your client data safe, reduce your annual premiums, your financial premiums, and your resource burdens. Plus, when everyone is working effectively from the same platform, partners and stakeholders will have better visibility and control over operations and performance. And finally, the big one, client satisfaction. Everything we do is for clients, and the benefits of technology to client service are huge. Clients are more demanding than ever, with their expectations becoming harder and harder to manage. Everyone has come to rely on the availability of digital services, and the law has definitely been slow to catch up with this. So in an age where clients want everything via email, and the thought of an in-person meeting is deemed by most to be an inconvenience, firms have to keep up with technology. And it's not easy, but ensuring you're up to date with your case management software will allow you to provide a modern and digital service and a quicker and more effective turnaround. It gives you the ability to minimize errors and to mitigate risk. So today I'll touch on 6 key tips for implementing effective training that will benefit your team and your bottom line. So clearly communicating goals, objectives, and benefits. So before embarking on implementing a training plan, ensure the goals of the firm are clearly communicated. This helps to align the team to focus on the same objective. When you know what you want to achieve, it's easier to see success, and success helps to motivate for further improvements. Then it's important to clearly communicate the benefits for your team. Any change to the normal processes can be overwhelming for some will resist, but by clearly discussing the benefit of the new processes, software or training can help alleviate those fears and help staff to appreciate how they will directly benefit. Finally, including the team in building out the new training plan to understand what challenges individuals face on a daily basis and what they require the software to do for them to make their workloads easier to manage. A short brainstorming session with small groups according to department and job role will help to uncover the common problems. For example, in conveyancing, they'll want to know about automating specific repetitive tasks, or in family, they'll need to know how to paginate bundles automatically, like Dave showed earlier. So by collaborating on these requirements, tailored plans can be created that will maximise the impact of the training, as well as utilise your firm's time in an effective way. As Lawrence said, it's also important to understand your staff's current user and skill levels. So just like the first point on effective communication being key for high-level goals and objectives, open and honest communication is crucial for individuals to maximise their time and develop their skills. This begins with understanding their current level of knowledge of the software, and it's important to encourage staff to be open and honest about how much they do or don't know about the software. It should be an open opportunity for them to raise any concerns that they may have. Regardless of how long an individual has been at the firm, their level of tech and software skills can still vary. Even with a good basic knowledge of the software, updates are regularly released, which means new and updated features may not have been introduced or used. These discussions will form the basis of a training plan and will highlight where an individual is today, where they need to get to achieve theirs and the firm's goals, and the steps needed to take to get them there. You should also consider the various ways people prefer to learn and ensure that that's reflected in the training programme. This activity across the team can also highlight great pairings that allow for collaboration between people or departments, where they complement each other on their strengths and weaknesses. Someone with many years of experience at the firm may have a better understanding of the processes required and can be paired with a new starter that has more advanced technology understanding. It's also really important to avoid mass training and lengthy training sessions. So as mentioned in the previous point, everyone's training plan will likely look different because of their different levels of skills, their needs, their experience, and their learning preferences. So this is why training your whole firm at the same time can be ineffective. There may be some base level training, so things for new starters, getting them set up, how to open clients, matters, that kind of thing. And that can be implemented as standard, but typically training should be based on the person's role and their area of law. By having small groups of staff, it will become easier to communicate, but importantly, it'll maximize everyone's time, which is always in short supply. It's always the worst thing to have your whole department taken away to a training session, nobody there answering the phone, there's no one working. It's much better to have a smaller set of people. So similarly, to ensure training is manageable, plan a multi-stage training program that can be flexible around commitments. This will help set realistic targets and goals to ensure the momentum of training is continued. And I'll go into more detail about that next. So setting realistic timeframes. Training, of course, isn't always high on the priority list. There's always going to be a case or a client that becomes more important, and it can seem impossible to set time aside in the busy schedule for training sessions. But what is important is setting clear priorities and realistic timeframes. With the initial goals and objectives laid out and a clear training plan that's tailored to individuals' needs, it's time to set the priorities over a specific but realistic timeframe. So trying to learn an entire system is overwhelming and quite frankly impossible, and it's impossible to know where to start. So by using a training plan based on current skills and requirements, you can set the priorities for the most pressing challenges. And as mentioned earlier, avoid booking several hour-long sessions because smaller and more realistic goals are easier to achieve and therefore momentum is easier to maintain. Allocating non-negotiable short training sessions in your calendar well in advance and dedicate that time to that activity. As you would do a meeting or a hearing. So moving on to talking about collaboration and how that can aid success. So setting out and communicating top-level goals and objectives will help to set the foundations for collaboration across the firm and management. It's crucial that management take a key role in inspiring, motivating, and leading the successful implementation in order to achieve return. If management aren't involved in this, staff won't be interested, they won't see a benefit. Collaboration between employees and teams is also encouraged, as mentioned earlier, to bring together opposing strengths and weaknesses in order to aid training and build teamwork. What's also important is to collaborate with your software partner. So by communicating your goals and objectives with your provider, they can suggest key features and best practices to help you reach your goals. A tried and tested method to improve collaboration is to have someone in each team who is an Osprey champion and can be a first port of call for queries, but can also work with the software provider. And that's exactly what Lawrence said about one of his staff members who everyone at the Osprey support team is familiar with. And there's always value to be had in continuous training. So continuous improvements mindset will ensure your firm's always striving for better and continue to adapt and stay flexible to meet your goals. So because technology, software, and the world of law is always changing, it's important to continue to implement training into your firm's strategy. So here, for example, we regularly release updates, improvements, and new features. By scheduling time for training those updates can take advantage, by scheduling time for training, you can take advantage of those updates and they can be implemented in your processes to improve efficiencies, your productivity and your client service ultimately. And the same applies for reviewing your internal processes, as it may be that the software can further enhance and streamline what you're doing. So improving your knowledge and understanding of your software solution will enable you to continue to see a return on investment. And it's worthwhile going back over your previous training plans, having a look at what you saw was an issue, and then seeing whether that's still the case and moving forward like that. So what do we offer at Osprey? So our training services, as an Osprey customer, you've got access to unlimited training included within your license fee. And on top of that, you can earn credits for the training you complete that can be redeemed against professional services for your firm. So you have 24/7 access to our academy for online guides and videos that take you through all the key features, functionality, integrations, and workflows. You can also use the Academy to book online training courses, which are trainer-led for either small groups or individuals. You can book interactive online training courses too, and you can complete those in your own time. We also offer our regular webinars throughout the year and our biannual roadshow, and those give introductions to our latest and most used features so you can see what's available and the best practices for success in your firm. Finally, we also offer bespoke training sessions with one of our trainers. Bespoke sessions can be set up according to the area of law and the staff member's job. So staff in all positions and with any level of tech knowledge can get the training that they need. And if you have any further questions, I'm sure Amy will take us through those in a moment. But for more information on our services or to get started with booking any training, please contact our support team, and the details are up on screen now.
Thanks, Alex, for your tips and benefits of dedicating resource to training. And as Alex said, of course, if you'd like to get started with any of those training sessions with our team or online, please reach out to us and we can get that organised. Similarly, if you'd like advice on where to start, we can help guide you on the best training sessions for your team. So now we've come to our live Q&A session, and we've had questions come in throughout, so thank you for sending those. I've tried to group them together for each presenter, just so it makes that easier to navigate. So I'll start with some questions regarding our latest updates. So these are for Dave. How do we get the new client portal site set up?
So that's a very easy process indeed. You can simply get in touch with our support department, and if you have an existing portal, they'll upgrade that. Otherwise, if you don't have one, then they will create that for you, and they can use logos and also your colour schemes to create that. We can also provide you with the training so that you understand how to actually publish that content through the portal as well.
Sure, okay, thank you very much. Talking about the focus bar, someone's asked, can it be locked so it's always visible? Is that something that you showed it go on and off?
Oh, okay, that's a good point. So initially, when we designed the bar, we wanted it to be persistent. We had it as persistent, and then what we decided to do was amend it slightly so that people could choose whether they wanted it on screen or not. And I think what's happened is it's now become non-persistent. So that's a really easy change that we can make to rectify that. So unfortunately, currently it isn't, but it's something that we can change. And this is a great example of our clients providing us with feedback so that we can make some of those changes. So we'll push that through and get our development team to look at doing that for you.
Perfect. Yep, that one's added to the list. Question is, can the template, so this is referring to the template for the BI. Somebody has asked if the template can be forwarded on. Do we have an example that we can send over?
Oh, certainly, yes, absolutely. We've got an example. I can send you over either a PDF, or I can actually send you a Power BI template file if you already had a subscription with them. So I'll follow that up straight after this meeting.
Sure, we'll get back to you personally on that one. Just running through a couple more, we'll move to Ben now. What compliance workflows are available to me?
I think Dave touched on this in his presentation, but at the moment we've got risk management, file reviews, conflict of interest checks, undertakings, client feedback, complaints, and claims and circumstances.
Perfect. Just sort of touching on that, somebody's asked how it's uploaded to the site. So is it available for everybody to use now?
Yes, I believe so. If you contact the support desk, they'll be able to get that loaded up onto your database.
Yeah, sure. So we'll get back to you personally on that one. We'll get our support team to upload the compliance workflows that you want that's available to you. We'll get those uploaded to your system. And just checking through. Another one on the compliance, our professional indemnity proposal form wanted all sorts of facts and figures. If that's not included in a standard report, are we able to create one?
Yes, yeah, if you're comfortable using the report writer, you can extract the information you need out of the system yourself. But if you'd rather we look at it, if you've got credits obtained via the training, as Alex mentioned, you can use those to get us to build the report for you, fill out a report spec, and then you're able to get that done. But if you did want to, as I said, have a bash at it yourself, you're not familiar with the report writer, we have got guides and videos on the Osprey Academy that you can watch to teach yourself how to use those.
Just to jump in very quickly, what perhaps I didn't show on the Power BI is that we've also built in an indemnity insurance report there. So what that will show you is all of your work via revenue and percentage, and it helps construct that indemnity report very quickly and easily as well. So that is another advantage of the Power BI service.
Sure, we have plenty of ways that firms can pull reports and analytics there. So again, we'll send over links to relevant areas personally that you can use. So we'll make sure we'll follow up on that one too. Just moving on to Lawrence, we've got a couple for you. What advice would you give to a firm who has a mix of tech lovers and tech haters? So the approach you'd use to make sure the utilization is firm-wide. Oh, sorry, Lawrence, you're just on mute.
My experience, past and present, has been that you will get that, and I think I alluded to it in the conversation I had earlier, and it was like creating mentors with people with great technical ability to share that with the staff that don't have the technical ability, and a reciprocal mentoring, reverse mentoring in terms of assisting them with their development in terms of the casework itself. You know, a lot of the newer staff come in with great technical skills in terms of IT, but they're not as knowledgeable and skilled and experienced as our current paralegals, some of whom struggle with the IT. There needs to be a bit of an arrangement in relation to that, so it doesn't become, you know, always going to the same person for the same thing. So making sure that's part and parcel of their training evaluation, and also part, you know, that they actually need to help with consolidation once they've been to training, and that is a short-lived relationship rather than something that goes on and on indefinitely. And I find that that's the way that it avoids frustration on both sides, and it's almost like a bit of an equality. And so buddying, basically, in development terms, buddying people together appropriately and getting them to coach and support one another.
Definitely implementing a bit of teamwork there to help each other out. Just another question for you here, before we run out of time. Our biggest challenge is finding the time. I know you and Alex did touch on this. So how do you balance the day-to-day work with dedicating the right time? Do you have any advice for that?
I think when we've initially dedicated time for certain members of staff that we were very much dependent upon, preparing the products that we needed or securing the templates and the fields within, whilst we were assisted greatly by Osprey staff, there still is a requirement and an investment. Often that investment and resource would be watered down by the business. One of the things that we found really helpful was to give some quality time out away from the office or in a section of the office where they wouldn't be disturbed, and it paid dividends in terms of getting us to where we needed to be. Holding those people to account as well, delegating to them with confidence and authority was another thing that we structured in to ensure that we got to where we needed to be and not too letter shy, so we could actually implement and roll out as and when. So yes, it's going to be an eternal problem, but well worth the investment of implementing. But implementing, if it's a larger practice, in the many. So little bits from a lot of people will make it work effectively, and not having one person that's totally responsible for anything other than the coordination, I think is the key.
Sure, it's definitely about those small implementations and improvements that make such the big impact. So yeah, totally understand that. Thank you for that, Lawrence. Just to touch on Alex's presentation, we've got a few on. You mentioned credits for training. So what for towards professional services? Somebody's just asked, what are professional services?
Yeah, so you'll get certain credits for the training that you take. As you've said, they all go towards professional services. And that covers things like the report writer, as Ben said. You can get a custom report created if you want. You can also put your credits towards things like mapping templates for you and helping you to create bespoke workflows. So we can go through the whole process of looking at the templates that you have, how we would map them, the tasks and actions that are needed within a workflow, and it can apply to any area of law, whether it's a common or uncommon one. So that's something that you can put your professional services credits towards. If you want to know more about the professional services and the credits that are available and how you obtain them and so on our support Osprey Academy page that I mentioned before about training and so on, there is a tab on the homepage called My Osprey Approach. Click on that and it will take you through to our credits website. You can find a little video there that kind of goes through what it all is. And of course, if you haven't accessed it before, you can access your account through that. If you need some help with that, just give our support team a call and they'll be able to talk you through it and set you up with your credits account.
Perfect, thank you very much. I am just going to touch back, probably jumping back to Dave, just I've seen this one come in just before we do go. Can you set up a client portal before launching a website? So someone's asking, obviously, the client portal came through your example website. Do they need a website first?
Oh, okay, fantastic question. The answer is no, you don't need a website first. So we can set up the client portal, and then you can simply send out a link to that dedicated portal through a regular email or communication. So no, you don't need an existing website.
Perfect. There we go. You can start using it today. So that is all the time we have today. I know we do have some questions that we didn't get round to answering, so we've got all those noted down, and we'll make sure we get the team to get back to you individually on those and make sure that you know the right information and places to go and get you started on what you need. I'd like to thank all the speakers today, but especially a big thank you for all of you for joining us and making another Osprey Roadshow a success. It's been great to have you here and great to have our speakers and guest speaker Lawrence with us today. So thank you all for your time, and we'll see you again soon.
Thank you all. Thank you very much.